Hey there, welcome to One Take, powered by backers.
Right? No judging. No judging.
And the millennials are really changing that.
Is charm. No.
All success begins with desire.
I feel like I'm on fire right now.
OMG, baby,
Hey there, welcome to One Take. It's a beautiful Friday morning. One Take, powered by backers. Justin Fox, Shelagh, Stoneham. Shelagh, thank you very much for joining me on the show.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Awesome. So we'll do a quick little intro. So you are a general management, marketing, and digital leader with experience spanning a broad range of sectors: retail, telecommunications, packaged goods, technology, fashion, beauty, airline, QSR, and pharmaceutical. In 2019, you launched Power Warehouse, which offers a best-in-class resistance training product line that enhances existing fitness regimens. So you support both professional, semi-professional athletes by building power and endurance, plus recreational fitness enthusiasts by accelerating calorie burn, building muscle tone, and supporting bone health. You're an international keynote speaker on e-commerce strategy and retail digital innovation. You contribute to the shaping of the industry by actively serving on Canadian and North American boards. Did I miss anything?
No.
Welcome to the show.
So.
We've tried a few times, but I've had to reschedule, but I appreciate your patience. So welcome to the show. Where should we begin? What I think, obviously I wanted to jump into, Power Warehouse, and you kind of just were, I think, alluding to that just before we jumped on, some difficulties you're having maybe with suppliers. Why don't we talk about, I like to say, choose your own adventure. So kind of, the books that we read as kids, but you decide what you want to, what should we discuss?
Well, I think what is most interesting is when everyone's authentic, right? You just,
right.
I'm not going to gloss over and say everything is great. We launched our business during the pandemic.
Right.
How crazy is that? Now, not intentionally.
Right.
We had the business ready to go. We wrote a business plan ready to go.
Right.
And ready to launch. And then the pandemic hit.
Right.
And so we thought, okay, well, this is going to be interesting. And every entrepreneur's journey is probably a little bit different than they expect. You can be the best planner in the world, and then things just happen, right?
Exactly. And
it tests your ability to pivot, which frankly, I've used the word so many times that my husband has kind of banned it from the house because he's like tired of hearing me say, well, we're just going to pivot.
You start spinning in circles, right? If you keep pivoting, right? You're
exactly.
Circles,
so,
right? Yeah.
He said, like, tell me when you're on a straight and narrow path. Well, there's been no straight and narrow path. It's been kind of a windy journey. And so we had this, we thought a great idea, which is in the white space of weighted wearables, which are like weighted vests, weighted belts, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
They're really catering toward hardcore athletes, professional athletes, paramilitary, military, etc. So people who are not the average person like me. And yet, what I call the public secret is that we can all benefit from weighted wearables.
Right.
If they're designed for to be comfortable.
Okay.
And to not hurt you. So that was the space we were heading in. So we designed a vest, and then we've since designed a weighted belt. And hold on a second, I'm going to show you something.
All right. So is this a sneak preview of
no, this is
world's first? There you go.
This is my Judy.
That's cool.
And she's wearing our weighted belt, which is everything we designed is designed to be comfortable and chic. And so the two buckles allow you to adjust for your waist and your hips, and all the weights are adjustable around the belt. She's a little skinny, so I've got a clip her at the back.
Yeah.
She's skinny mini.
Right.
But anyway, the whole idea is that you can adjust the size and the weight to be variable for you, and it's made of soft neoprene. I wear that to play tennis.
Okay. Yeah.
It's amazing. So it gets me into my fat burning zone.
Yeah.
But most weighted vests and belts are not even considered by average people because they think they're intimidating and they're uncomfortable. So we saw this white space. Okay. So now I'm going to get into the oh my God moment when COVID hit, and we're a small supply, like we are new relationships with this neoprene manufacturer who
Right.
developed 75% of the wetsuits from around the world. And
Okay.
you know what happens when you're small, you get bumped.
Right.
Right? You
So
just,
then,
like,
yeah.
you're not important. So anyway, the delays became bigger. Then we started hitting shipping issues, shipping delays, and we didn't get our product till December, and we were supposed to get it in June
Of 2020.
of 2020.
Oh, okay.
So we said, okay, what do we do? So I thought, okay, I've got a website up and ready to go. We're going to develop the accessories first. So
Okay.
we'll start with the accessories and the weighted
Right.
hula hoop. But one of the things is, like, my background is marketing. And so I'm really data driven. I use that as my inspiration. So
Right.
that's how I saw the white space in the market and everything else. I saw this trend towards weighted hula hoops. So what did I
Okay.
do? I ordered 1,000 of them and had them shipped over, and the wrist and ankle weights and blah, 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 blah. And then, so I just basically pivoted, I'm telling you, because the door is closed and my husband can't hear me,
Right.
towards offering all these weighted accessories. And who knew, but weighted hula hoops are a trend that's continuing strong.
Okay. And especially with everyone being at home,
Yes.
so it almost, I mean, as much as it was probably a bit of a shock to the system with COVID, but I think with everyone being home, not maybe being able to go to the gym, this becomes a much easier. And I was just going to say, I remember as a kid, sort of teenager, wearing the weighted ankles for hockey and lacrosse. So we would wear them during practice, or I remember we had like these weighted skate guard type things that we would wear during practice that, you know, obviously would give you that, you know, hopefully lighter feeling when you didn't have them on during a game versus in a practice. But okay, so that's kind of cool. So obviously you were able to benefit from the hula hoops and the
Right, and we're able to launch with wrist and ankle weights and other things that we get from market. And then our custom product started in December.
Okay.
And so here's what I've learned. I've learned that you can have a plan, but you have to be ready to be flexible,
right,
and navigate. I've learned that, you know, our biggest and first customer was Sport Check, and they were, you know, ready to launch. And you don't mess with Sport Check or any of these big retailers because they penalize you if your products are late.
Okay.
And so I guess one of my background, I've had to work with a lot of different types of people. And I think what's come to really help me is how to build relationships quickly. I've had to learn how to do that.
Right.
And by having those relationships, it helps me get to the top of the queue in terms of the manufacturing.
Okay. So that enables you to actually meet the Sport Check demands.
Yes. And so honest, I said, look, we're a small player. We're just launching. You're really going to kill us. This is our first really big retailer. We've since onboarded with HBC and with a shopping channel and with a division of Loblaws, Wellwise, and we're talking about Academy Sports US, and we launched with Weight Watchers a couple of weeks ago.
Wow. So
what I've just done is just trying to never give up, keep going after the retailers to get them to list us and be able to tell the story.
Yeah.
But I'll say something else that I think is kind of interesting is during COVID, what I've noticed is that with all the e-commerce going on and the more people online, it's so easy to compare products.
Right.
And so I know Amazon's taught us that, but it's so easy to just, all these aggregators, even to pharmaceuticals, so you can see all the different prices.
Right.
So, you know, if you don't have something unique or a unique story,
you're going to get lost in the shuffle.
Oh my gosh, you're going to be compared. If you don't have something distinctive beyond just the lowest price,
right,
you will be A, not purchased, or B, your margins are going to be squeezed like this. So I think my reality is that you either need to be creative in terms of what you're offering or be prepared to be compared.
So let me ask you a question. That's actually a really good question, or a really good segue. How, as an entrepreneur, how have you been able to, so give us an example of how you've been able to do that to kind of distinguish yourselves. I'm assuming, I mean, you said it's sort of white space. There's not a lot of people doing it.
Yes.
So that's a good thing. Obviously you went out, you discovered the niche, you discovered an area where there was an opportunity, but I'm sure there are at least a couple other options, right? So how have you been, or are there zero other options, or?
There are other options, but they don't have all of the properties. I mean, I could tell a story about
Right.
every single thing that we've created.
Right.
And I am not the product designer. I have designer here in Toronto, and I have one in London.
Okay.
And they're both very experienced, and they do all the final designs and tech packs. But what I do is I write them a brief of what I'm looking for. I have a vision in my head, and it's based on trying other products and then a vision of what it could be.
Right. So the aspirational of what you think should be in the market, and then you put that in place.
And I wear all of our products, and I do wear tests with all my friends and family. I get them to try it, and to be honest with me, they give me feedback and I incorporate it. So because, like, for example, little thing like a two-way zipper on a weighted belt. Well, when you're a weighted vest, when you're sitting down, you don't want it to buckle.
Right.
You want it to be comfortable. Yeah. And so I just learned a lot through just getting feedback from others, and trying to, it's not smoke and mirrors. Our products are superior, and I can tell the story why.
Right.
And that's why the shopping channel wants us on, is because I told the story of the hula hoop, and I showed them how I hooped, and then I put on the weighted belt, and then I put the wrist weights, and I said, can you imagine I can burn 500 calories in an hour by doing this? Just
by having the three devices on.
Yes.
Wow.
And if I take two off, I go down to 350, and I take one more thing off, I go down to 250. So it's like I'm very data driven, and I know what our products can do for us. So, and I believe in them.
And just curiosity, what's your website? So somebody that's watching can.
It's powerwarehouse.com. So it's POWER, like power.
Yes.
Wear, like something you wear. WEAR.
Yes.
And then it's HOUSE.com.
Perfect. Powerwarehouse.com. Cool.
Okay. One other secret I have to tell you. This is like, and this again is like a public secret, is that, it doesn't really, the fact that I believe in our products is great. I mean, super. Yeah. But you need credibility, right? So I took our weighted hula hoop, and I approached Guinness Book of World Record holder for hula hooping. And she's a fitness hula hooper, and she's ex Cirque du Soleil. Like, she is her name is Getty. Okay. And she runs this hula hooping class called, her link is Getty Show, at Getty Show. She is amazing. Well, I sent her product and said, give me your feedback. This is the only hoop she recommends, and she recommends you use your wrist and ankle weights now. Cool.
Is she the one out in Hamilton? The Cirque du Soleil out that way, or like by the 403 there?
She's out of Vegas.
Oh, okay. So she's like legit Cirque du Soleil then.
Oh, yes.
Okay. And not the Canadian version, and that's cool.
No, and she's comes from a whole family of performers, and so it's not enough that you love your product. You've got to get other people to support it and endorse it and get you feedback too. So anyway, I've been blessed because I built a relationship with her, and I hoop with her twice a week now. Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. That's so. I mean, it's one of those things, getting sort of the testimonial type, but from a much more influential type of person, right? So that's interesting. So. So now you mentioned you're in a number of stores. Are you now, you mentioned you had a bit of a hiccup this morning, but are you starting to feel, because I guess December is when you shipped, it's now almost call it 10 months, 11 months, almost a year, give or take, coming up. So how is that sort of first 10 months been once you started shipping? How have you found that? I'm starting to get a rhythm, because I've had to switch suppliers in order to, for example, the vests and the belts, we switch suppliers. So I had to find all the suppliers that I can trust, switch countries, because the original suppliers now has a timeline of a year, a lead time of a year to ship. Oh, wow. Okay. So this is like, you can't run a business with a year's lead time, because, people don't place orders and want them in a year. Right. Yeah. They want them. Amazon's taught us we want them like yesterday, right? We want them within hours. Yeah. Right. And so it was on. So we had to for a number of our products, we've switched suppliers, and in fact have a better pricing, better relationship. Okay. So that's good. So we're kind of aligning ourselves with manufacturers that share our values and are perhaps the new kid on the block themselves. They may be 5 years of business rather than a year, but anyway, they're looking to make a mark themselves as well, right? They're looking to get out there themselves. So you mentioned the neoprene company.
that had 75. What are you able to mention the name?
It's Shaco, but we've moved away from them.
Oh, you moved away from them. Okay.
Yes, because they had gave us lead times of a year.
That was the company with the extended lead times. Okay.
Right, and that's our core, like, primary product. So now we've switched to a company in Pakistan, and they are spectacular, and they do a lot of our packaging for us and everything else. So they're great. So it's just been, as an entrepreneur, there's nothing you don't do, including taking the garbage out.
Yeah, no, exactly. You're chief cook and bottle wash, as I say. So I that's actually an interesting point that you bring up. I think a lot of people, especially in sort of product oriented, or you're sourcing product. I don't know if you can maybe walk through your process, but how, so you mentioned you had one supplier, you mentioned you're able to kind of build those relationships, but how do you go about just what's step one? Let's say you have a great product idea. You mentioned, you see the opportunity. What's step one to source sort of the materials? You mentioned you found, I don't know if you knew the designers or if, where, how did you, just, not to reveal your whole,
oh gosh, I'm happy.
Secret sauce, but how did, what's that? Because a lot of people think it seems too outlandish to be able to I have a concept, but then how do I source suppliers? Especially in a global marketplace, right? A global economy, and find, partners that are going to do the, like you said, design might be one aspect, maybe prototyping or whatever it is. How did you go about doing that?
So, okay, let me start. I'll be swift, but I'll be.
It's okay. We want to hear. Yeah. Let's hear.
It's helpful.
Yeah.
So the first thing is, a lot of people have a good idea. The question is it a good idea in your mind? Or
right.
is there really, is there a hole in the market, but is there a market in the hole, is the expression. So first, stress testing to see, what's the competitive landscape, and is there a reason why that product isn't out in the market today? So just no one wants it. So I think the first thing you have to do is size the market and understand whether it's viable. Then the second thing is designing it. So in terms of design, it's best to go to someone who has experience in that kind of product. So for example, neoprene is not a common, not everyone's worked with neoprene because there's a degree of stretch. Right, and so there's technical aspects to it, and not every machine can handle neoprene.
Okay.
So really there's specialty designers and there's specialty manufacturers for the product. Okay. So if your product is one of those, then you have to search and make sure you have the right people to help you. And a lot of people say they can. I'd make sure that you've actually done your due diligence. So what I did was I used LinkedIn, and I used LinkedIn to search for sportswear designers. Now, we also have some technical aspects to our products, such as these weights we've created Lego-like stackable weights, which make them, they look like.
So you can kind of increase the weight as needed, sort of thing?
Yes. Right. But see how thin they are? And they fit together so they don't shift or chafe in the pockets. But the pockets need to be designed to be able to hold this without extra bulk. So there's a lot of technical aspects to it as well. So anyway, what I did was I searched on LinkedIn for designers, product designers, and I looked at sportswear, and then I looked at the kinds of products they've had developed. I went to their websites. Right. Then I reached out to them, and I believe your values have to be aligned first. Doesn't matter how good they are. If you're not aligned, nix them. So I had a list. So it's like doing an agency search. I had a list of criteria, and I interviewed designers.
Okay, I was going to say, at first I thought maybe you just Google, but LinkedIn is a great tool, right? Because a lot of people are on there. They've got their experience. You can search. I obviously use LinkedIn. That's how we connected, right? So, LinkedIn's a great tool to kind of source people.
And you have to make sure your LinkedIn, by a little tip, an aside, make sure your LinkedIn is up to date and you care about it, because just as you're searching other people, they're searching you. Right. And they may not reach back to you if they don't think you're legit. So, So
no picture, no photo, half a name, no posts, nothing. Yeah, kind of looks a little shady, right?
Declare it, right? Yeah. So anyway, because I was being interviewed by them too, they don't want to waste their time with someone who's just out for free advice or whatever. Right. So interviewed the designer and then got her to do designs and prototypes, sent them to me more than once. we Zoomed because one of the designers was in London, the UK.
Okay.
And then what happened is she did a tech pack. And you may not be familiar with tech packs, but I learned a little bit
Not
about
overly.
this at Chico's. But these are the technical specifications that a factory is going to require. And it's basically your blueprint for your product.
Right.
And if you don't have it, you can't go back to them and say, oh, it wasn't quite right. That doesn't work.
So it's sort of like, it's like the schematics of what you want them to build. So you get the design done and then you go to the manufacturer. So again, you're sort of getting another party involved essentially.
Oh, sorry. The designer will also do the tech pack. And if they can't do a tech pack, then you probably don't want them because then you're paying twice. You're paying for the designer and then you're paying for the tech pack. So get someone who can do it all.
Right.
And then they do the tech pack, which is the blueprint. Okay. And you often have to send them samples of things that you find inspiring. So they have a better idea of what you're looking for.
Okay. So sort of a guideline from. So is the designer, and not to get too nitty gritty, but is the designer typically going to give you samples? Like, is that, or like sort of when they start to design it, are they going to give you some idea of what they're putting together?
You usually see sketches first, then and then you choose from that. So we have a product where I choose the lines to make them slimming. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I'll choose, I want 5 seams down the front, not 3 or whatever. So yes, they will give you pay for every sample. You pay for every set of samples, and you need samples. So you pay for them. And I get them in my size so that I can try them on and I'm, which is the way I do it. And then I make sure I really like it. It's really comfortable.
Right.
Then they do the sizing for you. They do what's called grading, which the sizes for every size.
Okay.
Meaning that the measurements for every size.
So like a small, medium, large, extra large, or something along those lines.
Right. Okay. So now you've got your blueprint, which is really called a tech pack. And then you have to find the right factory. And that takes a lot of searching, Googling. And you put in the keywords that are important to you. So for us, it was neoprene manufacturing.
Right.
And then you have to do your due diligence to look at all the reviews and how long they've been in business.
Were you able to use, like, I know that for a lot of like e-commerce, there's like Ali or some of those other sort of like sourcing platforms. Are you able to use those at all, or is it you have?
I have, but I use them for inspiring, and they're a springboard for me. So it helps me find the keywords. My our neoprene manufacturer didn't come from Alibaba, but and many of them aren't on it. But it helps you guide in terms of the keywords you need to find the right factory, or to find the factories from them and then go to them directly.
Right.
Then the next thing is you approach them with a prototype, with the blueprint, and then ask them to do samples. You usually have to charge. They usually charge you for the samples and the shipping, and then don't
mind the baby in the background crying. But anyways, my apologies. Can you hear that? It's fine. My wife's there.
No.
It's.
I was gonna say feel free to go if you have to. I'll keep going.
No. Keep going. Yeah.
So the next thing is it's the next part of the process is they said you should ask for prototypes in every single size.
Right. Okay. So now the factory is going to send you sort of samples, prototypes.
First sample, and then there's second sample. Sometimes there's third samples, and then they're called salesman samples because they're the ones you shop around to your retailers.
Right.
Then you have to start to write the big checks for 30, 50,
to start buying units from them. Okay. Yeah.
And then that's the tricky piece. I mean, do you trust?
Right. So that's interesting. So we won't get into like numbers, but so yeah, you're starting to make a commitment, right? You're starting to have to kind of put some money, arguably where your mouth is, and start to actually. So do you? I don't know if you're revealing too much, because I've never really gone this route, but I wonder, do you source with the sort of, you said salesman pieces, do you go to suppliers and try to get them to cover the cost of maybe that first order, or what's kind of the, like, it seems like a chicken and egg kind of thing, right? You've got you're really gonna
you have to believe in your product,
right?
And particularly now during COVID, when the supply chain is so long, shipping timelines are so long, and a lot of retailers want you to drop ship, which means you carry the inventory.
Right.
You have to believe in your product, and if you're playing it so safe that you don't want to put a significant amount of money against a product until you've got someone else giving you a PO, a purchase order,
Yeah.
then you really should rethink your product or think about your timing in terms of your financials.
So just out of curiosity, you don't have to give exact numbers. Are we talking hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands? Like where? Just, I mean, obviously, it
Hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands. Okay, so you're outlaying hundreds of thousands of dollars pre any POs, like pre
Yes.
anyone even sort of. But
Well,
you maybe have some interest.
No, I had Sport Check who
Okay.
were interested and they wrote a PO, and so I
Okay.
had one massive order.
Right. Okay.
But all the other products, you know, we have purchased without POs, all the accessories and so on.
Right. So you do, like you said, you do have to have that that belief in
Yes.
in what your product is and where it's going, right? And so that you're going to put that sort of that money into it.
Do you feel my passion around my products?
Definitely. I mean, you can definitely sense, you know, the fact that you went and grabbed it and showed it and you were excited about it. That's, I mean,
I am. And I use my products, and people stop me on the tennis court and say, "What are you wearing?" And I walk the dog with my product. And it's because I believe in them and I see the results. So here's the thing, you know, you have to believe in your product, you have to believe in yourself, and you have to be well funded. If you're not sleeping at night because you're worried about being able to, you know, cover something, it's going to be a problem. So you have to think about your timing.
That's like a lot of entrepreneurs. There's always that trying to.
And I do worry.
Yeah.
I have to tell you what I worry about is I worry about not meeting my commitments, and that means it's the shipping. So then you get to the next thing. So you have to trust your manufacturer, and when you first receive those goods and you see that they've been picked up by your freight forwarder, you think, okay, they're on their way. They've actually delivered them, because you don't really know. These are people you do not know, and there's very
and you're not flying across the world in sort of at that point. Yeah.
Also,
eventually you might, but not at that point.
But also there's very little recourse in certain countries. I'm not going to name them, but in certain countries, there's very little recourse if there is a manufacturer does not deliver against their commitments.
Right.
Very little recourse. And that's why insurance is so high. And one of the reasons why insurance is so high, if you are creating your own products.
Interesting.
Is because if there's a fault in it, it's very hard to go back to the manufacturer. Anyway, so you then have to figure out who's going to ship your goods and how you're going to do it. I used to have a freight forwarder, and I had a shipping manager. I do it all myself now. I figure if they can do it, I can do it. And I've had my first shipment just was delivered, and I'm saving money and time, and I'm closer to the process. And my first shipment is going to be landing in Etobicoke at our DC today.
Oh, wow. There you go. That's awesome.
And I ship myself.
Congrats.
I got my own freight, and I go to
so you do like an LTL or whatever,
I do LTL, and I'm using a site that allows me to bid for people to bid against my products.
Right.
And then you have to have a DC. You've got to have a distribution center ultimately that can do pick, pack, and ship, because as an entrepreneur, you have to think about what can someone else do that can take something off my plate, because you know there are things that are urgent and there are those things that are important, and you have to balance those things, like managing customer. Where's my shipment? Customer queries about how is it going to fit? Those sorts of things. Other people can't do it as well, perhaps, as I can, so I do some of those things myself. Interesting.
So I don't normally talk, but on the funding side, right? Obviously with backers, we look at sort of funding entrepreneurs, or we work with entrepreneurs to help them get funding. But how would you, or how did you, or what would you suggest an entrepreneur who's kind of coming sort of, 2 years behind you, right? Who's now got that idea? What would be some of the funding options out there? Because you mentioned you have to be funded, right? So what would be some ways that you would, whether how you did it or how you would think others might be able to do it? Like, what are some ideas around how to get funded?
So I think the first thing is you have to have a solid business plan.
Right.
And if you don't know how to write one, get help, because it will test some of your assumptions. It'll make you think differently about your business, because no matter how well thought through your idea may be, your concept may be, to make it a viable business, you have to really understand the market, have a well-developed strategy, and be able to do financial projections. It'll help you sleep at night. You have to have a blueprint for your business. So that's the first thing. Now,
Do you want
wrote-
people to read that business plan too? Is that, would you
Yes,
advise, getting sort of
absolutely.
revisions?
Deeply
And,
trust. Mhm.
yeah.
And frankly, if any of your listeners or anyone's listening that would like me to help them, I do a lot of business coaching. I'm sure you do this too. I help a lot of other entrepreneurs. Is my way of lifting others up.
Right.
And I'm with International Women's Forum, and I do that. It's part of my giving back.
Cool.
So anyway, I'm happy to do that too.
We should connect with you too, because then you could work with some of the entrepreneurs that are going through the Backers platform and help them with their ideas and building up. And I really like the whole like laying out step by step sort of what it is or what it takes to kind of get to where you're at, right? And you're only still early on, right? You're just
for sure.
You're just like scratching the surface of probably what you can get to, right? So
I'm really hoping so. I mean, the
knock on wood, right? Knock on wood. Yeah, you're just at the beginning, right? There you go.
Your lips to God's ears, right? Isn't that what they say?
Yeah.
So I think that yes, I'm happy to help, but I think I'm a very much a I'm thoughtful. So, and I think that's where you need to be thoughtful at the beginning before you start to leap in. And too many entrepreneurs just jump in. I think you have to think through and be prepared to take constructive criticism. So that's the first bit.
That's hard too. A lot of people, when you have like an idea, you've got this sort of stuck in your mind what it could be, and then all the evidence points against it. It's tough to say, hey, they're wrong, but or accept their insight, right? It's sort of a fine line, I think, between those two. But anyways, go ahead. Sorry. So the next step.
No. So you write the business plan, and there are lots of business plan templates online.
Right.
We use the one from BDC.
Okay. Yes,
And
we've used that in the past as well.
Right, and BDC helps fund entrepreneurs as well. But the one thing you have to know is that they look at your credit history, and they look at your equity, and you have to pay it back.
For a BDC loan.
Yes. So it's not like it's free money or it's risk free. It's just money that you are guaranteeing.
Right.
And so again, you have to be in a position to believe enough in your business plan to execute it. And BDC, of course, their money does not come cheap. It's a premium. So BDC, we sent in our business plan, and we had a 3-hour window to present it and discuss it with them.
Okay.
So went in to present it to them, and they said, it's only going to be half an hour discussion. And I said, okay, is there a reason why? And they said, it's the best written business plan we've ever seen.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I went, wow, that's great. I mean, given I used to do business plans for Shoppers Drug Mart, Rogers, a few others, I'm glad that I've had some good training.
Good experience. You put it to use.
Yeah, I put it to use. So it made me feel really good. They asked a few questions, and before we knew it, we were just building a really nice relationship, and I just love the guy that I dealt with. However, they came back and they looked at our credit rating, and because I'm a bit of an A-type, I pay bills off even before they're due, which is not what you should do probably, but I do. I am very much like, I don't like to owe anyone anything. So my credit rating is really good. So they came back with an interest rate that was far greater than I was comfortable with.
Okay.
So I funded it myself.
There you go. So, okay. So, I mean, having that ability is definitely great to be able to do that. And BDC is great as well as an option.
They're fantastic. It's just that, I just looked at the numbers and thought, I'm better to use my own money than to use their money given the interest. However, it doesn't mean to say I wouldn't use BDC in the future. They might help to factor invoices. So, when you get when you get a PO, they may help you
factoring. Yeah. So you're basically selling your receivables essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. So I might do that if I got a big order from the States or something like that down the road. But for now, it didn't make sense for me. But as I said, they were great to work with. They have a lot of great resources.
Right.
Then there are angel investors. There are people like backers, that can help you. And I think, I'd love to hear more about what backers is offering, because these are important resources, and we all need options, and I think we should explore them.
Yeah. So I usually don't get too much into what Backers does on these shows. It's more, but anyways, basically what Backers does, we are a platform that facilitates whether it's angel investors, retail investors, investing in an idea. So if you have the idea, you can come to Backers, you can raise, I'll do my shameless plug right now. You can raise it, anywhere from a few, tens of thousands of dollars up to, tens, hundreds of millions of dollars from thousands of investors. So there's been sort of a regulatory shift where now everyday individuals can actually invest in these early stage private companies. And so we basically are the platform that facilitates all of that. So it's kind of technology meets, the new world investment regulations with sort of a blockchain underlying component to it. So we've been building this for 3-4 years. So it's pretty exciting. We've raised some capital for a few companies. We're just in the process of releasing Backers 2.0, but yeah, it's good times. So I speak with, not only on this show, but, daily, I speak with 3 or 4 or 5, entrepreneurs every day talking about their business as they go through the process. We've had probably 1,200 entrepreneurs express interest in launching on our platform. We're slowly working through the process and, getting them to the point where they're ready to launch. Because there is, a lot of the stuff you just talked about, that's a year's worth of work to get to a point where you're ready to kind of accept money potentially, right? I mean, there's varying stages, but there's definitely a lot of work that goes into it. And a lot of people think, I'm just gonna, like you said, plans change. I use the word perseverance, right? Persistence, perseverance, right? You have your plan, but it's never gonna go to plan, right? You're gonna have to be able to weather those maybe days when you're like, did I really make the right choice to do this? Or should, a lot of people want to give up or quit, right? So
I'm used to having a really big team. This is the biggest thing for me is I used to have a team of 140.
Okay.
With 2 EAs.
Okay. So
I don't have an EA. I'm doing it all
by yourself, right? Yeah.
And so when I look in the mirror, I think, okay, right. The delegation comes right back to me.
The person in the mirror, do this. Okay, I'll do that. Right. It's sort of, look yourself in the mirror.
And every time someone does something nice for me, I think, okay, what can I do for them that's even greater? Like I give more than I ever expect to get back. And my friends and my new associates, like the guy who runs our distribution center, he owns it. The various people, the printer, the local printer, and all the manufacturers. I know about their families, their holidays, their issues. That they send me videos of lining up for COVID testing in China, and I'm building these relationships because I genuinely care, and in so doing, they help me more than I could ever have imagined. So when I'm in a pickle, I don't feel too alone because I've got I mean, who uses the word pickle? But whenever you're in it,
I actually just used it this morning. There's a sport called pickleball.
Oh, yes.
I was trying to think of it. I was like, knuckleball? What is it? Pickerel? And then my wife was like, pickleball. And it was
okay, I want to do pickleball and I want to do lawn bowling. And my husband said to me, what are you, 80?
Well,
and I said, they're fun. They're fun.
I just saw it on TV the other day and I was like, can you play it on a tennis court? I think you can play it on a tennis court, right?
You can. And they're different rules. And we lived in Florida for a couple of years when I worked for this women's, especially retailer. And they had pickleball courts.
So is it like a smaller court or like
it is?
Or is it same net though? Or higher net, lower net?
You can use the same net, and it's a smaller court. There's some specialized pickleball courts, and there's a big controversy apparently.
Right. Okay.
In some parks these days about converting tennis courts or basketball courts to pickleball courts.
Okay.
Because some people are against it, but really for people that are a bit older, it allows them to still play a racket sport, get some exercise without. Tennis can be too much for them. Right,
it's too much running around. I just thought it was fun because we were joking because the amenities just opened up at our condo and literally like this week on Monday, and so we went down. We were playing tennis. I was joking we could maybe get a pickleball rackets and we could go take the kids down and play some pickleball. Or anyway. We've been waiting a year and a half for them to open. They closed March 20th or whatever in March 2020, and they just opened on Monday. So it's been
Well, I've been coaching some studio owners. So they own, and I haven't told you this, but I'm a Pilates instructor, and I did it in my spare time. I have a reformer. I loved Pilates, and so I thought I'd get better at it. I never thought I'd be teaching, although I've got my teacher's certificate, but I have been teaching online to help out these people that, because they have to pay instructors to do these online classes, and they've had to convert their studios to an online business.
Right.
And so I'm helping them shift their business model. And at the same time, I've also been helping teach. And so it's like,
so they're doing like video instruction kind of thing
Yes.
for the Pilates.
Yes.
Okay, yeah,
Yes.
that's a good way. I've seen a lot of like, a lot of sort of those fitness type programs that would be normally in person, whether it's boot camps or different things. They're kind of running a lot of online things. So hopefully people will get back in person, but yeah, it's good that they can
it's
pivot.
really,
It's good they can pivot, right? That
yes, it's a pivoting thing,
pivoting, yes.
but
That's the word of 2020, pivot.
It's the word of 2020. And I think the theme for me though is either be creative or be compared. And that's where you're dealing with looking at business plans, or maybe you're just hearing ideas and that they're still in the formulative stage. And I know it's daunting, but if you just kind of, I guess the best advice I'd give is just put one foot in front of the other, have a plan, and don't look too far ahead, because it may be.
And don't look back.
And don't look back.
Well, maybe look back in just sort of to see what you've done and learn from your mistakes or whatever. But yeah.
I mean, I have to say, the other thing too is I think you talked about resiliency.
Right. Perseverance, resilience, persistence,
If someone says no to you, okay, that's no for now, but doesn't mean no forever.
Right.
And buyers change. So, I mean, I was told no by Weight Watchers, 5 times. I kept writing decks. They kept saying no to me. And then finally they said yes. And we've done beautifully with them. We've been live for 3 weeks.
Awesome. Well, that's amazing. Shelagh, I really appreciate you joining me here today. I'm going to end it with the last question. Usually ask everyone, you kind of just answered it. If there was one word that you could give sort of people, one piece of advice that maybe you would say to a younger you, or maybe somebody coming up, what would that one word be?
I think it is resiliency.
Resiliency, yeah.
Yeah, because that means that when someone says no, or you get a setback, or your site crashes, or you get a bad customer review, or whatever it is, or your product doesn't arrive on time, take a deep breath and figure out what plan B is, and then come back up, and every day is a new day.
Yeah, no, definitely being able to get back up on the horse and kind of keep on trucking. I'll say all the one-liners, right? Yeah.
I'm with you. It was such a pleasure. Thank you for asking me these questions.
Awesome.
And I hope I was of some.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was awesome. And they can check you out obviously at Power Warehouse, right? So POWERWEARHOUS, I can't even spell, warehouse.com. And how about online? LinkedIn, I guess, would be the best place.
Please connect with me on LinkedIn. Power Warehouse is on LinkedIn, but I'm also on LinkedIn.
Right.
And so it's at Shelagh Stoneham, and I'd be delighted to help you in any way. I have to tell you one little secret though before we go. Okay. The reason why I can help with read business plans and stuff is I'm a speed reader. That's my only special gift.
Oh yeah? How fast can you read?
I can
Give me an example. Like, are we talking like a book in an hour, or?
I read a book every night before I go to bed, and that's how I get to sleep. It turns my mind off.
I remember in high school, I was with a buddy and we watched this like infomercial, and it was all about speed reading. And I was like, imagine we could buy that. And we were so into it it was maybe a couple of days. We were just like, let's get this course. We done homework. And that was sort of like your high school mindset, right? We'd be done in, 1 day, 1 hour, right? Everything would be done. I'm actually not I can read. I'm literate, but I'm definitely not a speed reader. But yeah, that's cool. So you can just go through everyone's basically their plan very quickly, and then give good feedback quickly.
Take notes, Yeah.
Cool.
It's helpful. So
awesome. Well, I appreciate it, Shelagh. Thank you very much. Everyone else, this is One Take powered by backers. Justin Fox, Shelagh Stoneham. Shelagh, you can take that. We'll end it. All the best. Everyone else, I will see you guys again soon. All right. Thanks, Sheila.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Take care.
Cheers. Bye. Hey there. Welcome to One Take, powered by backers. Right?
No judging.
Yeah.
No judging.
The millennials are really changing that.
Is charm. No.
All success begins with desire.
I feel like I'm on fire right now.
OMG, baby.